Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My dear friends, students of the first year, Cairo Higher Institute's English Division, welcome to another drama lecture. If we are going to remember what we had since the beginning of this semester, we were introduced to the definition of literature, the definition of English literature, and then we started our drama course by explaining the definition of drama, the importance of drama, the function of drama. Last week we started discussing the elements of drama. We came across 5 elements. Just to remember, we understood the meaning of mimesis, imitation, representation, setting, theme, character, and today inshallah we are going to focus on element number 6, which is plot. In order to understand the meaning of a plot, we need to answer a number of questions. Mainly speaking, what is a plot? In other words, what is the definition of the plot? What are the importance of the plot? What is the function of the plot? What does the plot consist of? And what are the numbers of plots? So, if we are trying to answer this question, I think it will be a good start for us to understand plot as a whole. So, please, let's start. A plot. A plot is the arrangement or organization of a series of incidents. Aristotle expresses that the plot is the soul of drama. The plot shows how drama develops through the character's action and dialogue. A good plot gives a play its organic unity. The incidents of the plot should be arranged sequentially, logically, and chronologically. What does it mean? First of all, a plot is the arrangement or organization of incidents. What is the meaning of this term, incident? An incident means a dramatic situation, a situation in the play. So when we have a number of dramatic situations, we give them the term incidents. Okay, these incidents which tell us what happens must be arranged in a certain way, must be organized. This process of organizing the main actions of the play is called the plot. In other words, it is the element of drama that enables the dramatist, the playwright, to arrange the actions of the play according to his viewpoint. So again, a series is a number of, a sequence of, a list of incidents. And what is the meaning of incidents? Situations in drama. If we go back to Aristotle's concept of drama, we will understand that Aristotle said that drama is the soul of drama, the heart of drama. In other words, if we go back to my first lecture, when we had our first face-to-face meeting, I told you that drama is the essence of life, and conflict is the essence of drama, and the plot is the soul of conflict and of drama. That's why it is very important to understand Aristotle's recognition of drama as not just an imitation of life, but more importantly, when he tells about the plot, he said that it is the soul of drama. It is the heart of drama. Without the plot, there is no drama. There is no conflict. So, Aristotle expresses that the plot is the soul of drama. This plot shows how drama develops through the character's actions and dialogues. When the dramatist writes a play to be performed on the stage, he must develop his dialogues in a certain way, such as cause and effect, action and reaction. This dialogue will present a certain idea, and then it will lead to a further discussion among the characters. This order should reflect a kind of organization. Sometimes this organization is given through dialogue or through action, and both are performed by characters. If we started talking about the plot, here we start talking about a good plot, because not every plot is recognized, is classified, is perceived as a good one. So a good plot gives the play its organic unity. When I have a number of actions, there must be a link between these actions. Otherwise, they will appear individual actions. They will appear as separate actions. They will have no relationships. And in this case, I cannot describe the plot as a good one. So, the importance of the plot is that it gives the plot, it gives the play, its dramatic unity. It's linking ideas, it's recurrent images, it's what we can say as what joins the actions together in a certain way that reflects this kind of unity. How can the incidents be arranged? How can the incidents be organized? I have here 3 different ways of organizing the actions of the play. The first is to have a sequential arrangement, or that the actions are arranged sequentially. Sequentially, it means that they follow a certain order. I have a certain sequence. Action number 1 happens, then it is followed by action 2, then action 3 comes as a reaction either to 2 or 1 or both 2 and 1. This kind of development must follow logic. There must be reason in the development of the plot. For example, if I have a hero who commits a crime, so we will be waiting for a kind of punishment. If we are going to have a hero who has been accused and is innocent, so we are waiting for his innocence to be announced. So there must be logic. At the same time, we have a third way of the arrangement of the dramatic incident, which is when we have a chronological order. Chronological order means that we are going to follow, let me say, the timeline of the actions of the play. So, in terms of time, clock time, in terms of dates, what happens first is told first, what happens next is told next. So, we have 3 ways of arranging the incidents of the plot. We can have a sequential, logical, or chronological arrangement. And sometimes we will have the 3 of them. There is no problem. It depends upon the dramatist message, the dramatist talent, the dramatist way of addressing his audience. So till now, we came to know that the plot is the arrangement or organization of situations in drama. The plot is given through the character's action and dialogue, and that the play and its organic unity is reflected through its plot, and the actions of the play may be arranged sequentially, logically, and chronologically. What does a plot consist of? Here we have a number of elements. We are going to have exposition, discovery, conflict, climax, and resolution. So we have these 5 elements which we need to understand each. First of all, exposition. Exposition is a noun derived from the verb to expose. Expose, to present, to introduce. And that's why an exposition is just an introduction to the fictional world of the play, to the world of the play, like the characters, the time, the place, and the general atmosphere. How can I understand the play without being presented to the character's name? And if I have a certain location that gives me an impression, how can I ignore this location? What is the time of the play? Which century do we have? And which period in that century do we have to understand? So the exposition gives information about who, what, where, when, and why of the story at the beginning of the play. So it is the introductory part of the play that gives me chance as a reader to know the characters' names, some kind of their tendencies, their orientations, how do they behave, how do they talk to each other, where are we, the place where are we, the time, and the general atmosphere. By this, we use the term exposition to have an idea about, again, who, what, where, when, and why of the play. Sometimes we have a character who discovers something, who comes to know a new piece of information. This, at that moment, we call that there is discovery. And again, discovery is taken from the verb to discover. So it is a revelation of secret information affecting the life of the main character. So, first of all, I have the main character. And the main character had a secret. And now he discloses this secret. Okay? No, there is a problem. And be careful of this. When I say that the hero discloses a secret, it means that the hero has a secret and he tells others about the secret. But this is not the case we are talking about. Here we have a secret that the hero doesn't know. And at that particular moment, he comes to know this secret. So, the secret is not behold by the character or the hero, but it is revealed, it is discovered, it is known by the hero or the main character. This secret must affect the life of the main character to have this kind of greatness or importance in the development of the action. If the main character is not affected, then there is no difference. For him, everything is okay. But when he discovers something, and this discovery leads to a change in the course of his life, leads to a kind of reaction that will reshape the character's motivations afterwards, at that particular moment we must pay attention to the importance of that moment. And we call that there is discovery. Okay. The third element, we have the conflict. And again, conflict is the essence of drama, is the heart of drama. If there is no conflict, there is no plot. If there is no plot, there is no drama. If there is no drama, there is no life. So this is the sequence we need to understand. So conflict is a series, a set of complications. I have some kind of problems that will lead to certain crises, more complicated problems, and we will have a tension. This conflict will take an uprising curve. it will increase until it reaches its highest point. The highest point is called the climax. So again, conflict is a number of complications that will increase. They will raise our suspense until they reach the highest point. This highest point is called the climax. So the climax is defined as the highest point or the peak of conflict. Peak, again, is another term for a highest point. Okay, after reaching this highest point, we need to have a kind of falling action to arrive at or to reach our resolution or denouement, which is the solution of the complication of the main conflict. Okay, so I have a problem. This problem takes a rising curve until it reaches the climax, and then it falls down until it reaches the resolution. To make it clearer, let's have a look at Freytag's pyramid. This is the pyramid, but before discussing it, we need to understand that I have a German playwright called Freytag, and he introduced the construction of the plot. And for him, the plot is a traditional plot of a 5-act play, a play that consists of just 5 acts. And he gives us this construction in the form or in the shape of a pyramid. And he divided this pyramid into 5 phases, 5 stages, 5 levels: the exposition, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution or denouement. This is the pyramid. So I have here the exposition, the beginning, the start. When we have information about the characters, the place, and time, as well as general atmosphere, then we will have a kind of conflict or the complication of the plot, and we are going to have rising action before it reaches the crisis, and the crisis is a more complicated stage of conflict. This crisis will lead to the climax, which is the highest point of conflict. And then after reaching the highest point, we have a falling action that will lead to the denouement or the resolution. So in this case, you can have this pyramidal shape to clarify what is meant by the plot, so as we can understand its 5 stages. Okay, the exposition, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and a denouement. And we link it to the traditional division of the play into 5 acts. What are the different types of plots? Mainly speaking, we have a play that must have a main plot. The main plot is the most important plot because it deals with the main conflict. It represents, it tells about, it shows the main conflict. And the main characters are involved and they speak the dialogue. And at the same time, we have a subplot. So, in a play, we may have one main plot and there is no subplot. In another play, we may have one main plot and one subplot. In a third play, we may have one main plot and 2 subplots. So there is no problem. For us, we need to understand that the main plot deals with the major events and characters. Okay, and what about the subplot? The subplot advances the main one. the subplot supports the main one. And that's why it deals with other events and characters. So the main function of the subplot is to support the main one, to advance it, to help it to develop. The subplot helps the main plot to develop. Okay, a good play. Again, we don't talk about a play. Here we have a play. Here we have a critical view about a good play. Should have both. And the subplot is used to advance the main plot. So this is a quality or a characteristic of the main plot, as well as the subplot when they exist to give us what we call a good play. A good play, not just a play. According to Aristotle in his famous international book, Poetics, we have a simple plot and we have a complex one. What is the difference between a simple plot and a complex plot? A simple plot has a simple and continuous action. And I have an action that is performed, that is shown, and it develops. So all developments, all aspects of development are based on one main action. And the change of fortune happens without recognition and reversal of situation. Okay, there is a change of fortune, there is a change of luck, there is a change of the course of man's life. Here I talk about not everyday man, but about the heroes or the protagonists, the main character's life. Okay, but it happens without recognition. He doesn't recognize anything. And there is no reversal of situations. Okay, there is no reverse in the course of action. But if the change is accompanied by recognition or reversal of the situation, or both, sometimes we will have both, the plot becomes complex. Sorry, so simply speaking, if I have an action that is simple and it develops and that's all, and the main character doesn't recognize anything or doesn't have a kind of reverse in the course of his life, we call it a simple plot. Okay? Otherwise, it will be a complex one. For Aristotle, the unified plot is better than the episodic one. A unified plot, again, the plot that has an organic unity. There is link between its actions. This link could be the main character, it could be the main action, but there is unity. And sometimes we have a different type of plots, which is the episodic one. I have a number of actions. Each action is presented separately, individually. There is no relationship between incident or action number one and incident or action number two. They are separable. For Aristotle, the unified plot is better. Okay, so till now we had came across the definition of the plot and its importance in terms of its organic unity. We had the construction of the plot in terms of its exposition, discovery, conflict, climax, and resolution, and we came to have a clearer view through Freytag's pyramid. Okay, and then we had the different types of plot, whether the main plot, the subplot, the unified plot, and the episodic one. I think this is mainly speaking about the plot. If we need to understand the plot of any play, we need to understand what is meant by each of these terms. Okay, for the time being, we discussed the sixth element of drama. And if you allow me, let's go ahead to element number 7. What is action? Action as a term refers to the series of events that constitute the plot in any dramatic work of, in any work of literature. Action involves activity. The characters move to perform certain tasks. They exchange words, fall in conflict, fight, etc. The action in drama is usually arranged in a logical and a climatic order to increase the audience's interest through increasing suspense and intensified emotions. What does it mean? We have this term action, which I think you are all familiar with. But what is the meaning of action in drama? So the term action refers to, again, a number of events, a series of events that constitute, that build up the plot in any work of literature. Action involves activity. If I have action, I have activity. If there is action, there is activity. Okay, what is the form of this activity and how can we know about it? The characters move on the stage to perform certain tasks. Okay, the playwright, the dramatist, wrote on his script that the character, for example, walks and opens the door. He goes out, calls someone, and invites him to come in. In this case, what is written by the playwright is performed by the actor on the stage. So I have some kind of indicated actions, written actions. The playwright wrote these actions on his script so as to allow, so as to enable the characters to understand what is written and do it on the stage. Okay, what can the characters do on the stage? They can exchange words. They will talk to each other. We will have dialogue. We will have conversations. Sometimes they fall in conflict. They have different points of view that will lead to a kind of a struggle between them. It is not necessarily, of course, to be a physical struggle. They are not going to fight on the stage, although it may occur, but we can have a kind of verbal conflict, oral conflict, words and expressions, sentences that tell about that the two parties or the two speakers are maybe two opponents. They oppose each other in terms of words. Sometimes they fight, okay? Especially when we talk about a kind of fights between two armies and I have two leaders on the stage, okay? They will not kill each other in reality, but they must give us, as their audience, the idea that they are fighting. At the same time, when we had the action as a construction or as a constructive element of the plot, we said that the plot is arranged logically, and so are actions. The action must lead to a reaction and so on. So there must be a kind of logic, like cause and effect. There must be reason. Why did we have action 2? Because of action 1. Or in other words, that action 1 leads to action 2 and so on. I'm trying to simplify it. And we have this climatic order. Okay, when we have a conflict, its actions must develop in a certain way that leads to the highest point, which we called the climax. So here we have the climax once again. So I must have this rising actions, or what we call the climatic order, the order or the sequence that will lead to the climax. Why do we need this climatic order? To increase the audience's interest. If you are excited, you will love watching this play. If you are excited, you will continue reading this play. If you are not excited, if everything is okay, I think you will not continue either watching the play or even reading it. So there must be a kind of suspense, and there must be a kind of intensified or very strong emotions. You must have a reaction towards what you see or what you read. Your heart is touched. Your emotions are moved because of the course of actions you either watch or read. How can actions be reflected? I have gestures, facial expressions, and tone of voice. These are other ways of conveying actions or of performing actions. What the meaning of gestures? Like movements, either body movements or the movements of the body as a whole, not just like when you see a lady. Okay, so this is a gesture. And sometimes you have a facial expression, an expression that appears on your face, and it tells us what you think of. It tells us what you feel. So even if you don't talk, even if it is a moment of silence, there is something in your mind, there is something at your heart, and that's why we need to understand it. So how can you understand it? Through your facial expression, the expressions that appear on your face, and the tone of your voice. Are you excited or are you bored? Are you interested in something? Are you interested in something, or are you afraid of something? So the tone of voice reflects a kind of action. Every action occurs, happens because of a certain motivation. By motivation, we mean the force beyond an action. The power that pushes you to do or not to do a certain action. Because it stimulates the character, it pushes the character, it invites the character, it enforces the character to do or not to do it. So I have a hero who committed a crime, and we are waiting for this hero to be punished. But at that particular moment of punishment, he asks for God's forgiveness. At that particular moment, the audience will be subdivided into two groups. The first group sees that the hero must be punished because he committed a crime. The second group may say that no, he can be forgiven because he repented, because he asked for God's forgiveness. So how can you tell us that the hero is asking for God's forgiveness? Because he felt something. He felt that he is committed a sin or committed a fatal crime, and that his heart is touched. That's why he went to God once again and he asked to be forgiven. So these feelings which the hero or the main character feels are reflected on you. You must feel the same. So you will need to decide, if you were this character, will you ask for God's forgiveness or not? And at the same time as an audience, will you sympathize with the character? Will you feel sorry for him? In other words, will you forgive him or not? If you will forgive him, why? What is the force that gave you this decision or pushed you to take this decision? And if you are not going to forgive him, again, tell me why. So in each case, there is a motivation. On the stage, this motivation or this force leads the character to do or not to do something. And when you imagine that you are this character, if you were this character, again, you will try to understand his motivation to decide if this action performed by the character right or not. Action is usually represented in three forms. Okay? The dramatist gives us the performance of action in three forms. Sometimes I have physical action, sometimes I have reported action, and the third way is mental action. Physical action is visible action, action that you can see performed on the stage, like when I have two people fighting together, two people exchanging words or giving a dialogue on the stage. So you watch them, you listen to them, and everything is given in a physical shape. And sometimes there is something that happens off the stage. You can see it. So this action is reported. A character will come on the stage and tells you what happens behind the stage. The character will face you as an audience and tell you what happened off stage. Off stage means the opposite of on stage. Off stage means something that you didn't see, you didn't listen personally, but someone had to come on the stage and tell you about it. Sometimes we have mental action. If I am left alone on the stage, I think of something, and the dramatist wants to reflect my insight, my inner feelings, my inner thoughts. How can the dramatist reflect this? Through imagining what could be in my mind. He will give you a description of my mental state, the ideas I think of, what I am preoccupied with, what my mind is busy with. So this is called mental action, and we have lots of mental actions appear in the form of soliloquies written by Shakespeare. When I have a character who is left alone on the stage, no one else talk to this character, and the character starts speaking with himself out loudly to enable the audience to understand his thoughts and feelings. So how can action be performed? I have physical action, reported action, and mental action. Now let's move to element number 8, which is dialogue. Dialogue is a verbal discussion between characters on the stage. It is one of the means through which idea is communicated in a dramatic performance. The playwright uses dialogue to represent the characters' thoughts, expressions, views, comments, arguments, debates, gossip, etc. So again, what is the meaning of this dialogue in terms of its association with drama? Dialogue is a verbal discussion. Verbal means oral, something that is spoken. So it is a spoken discussion between characters on the stage. The characters on the stage discuss a certain topic. They discuss something. So they use their verbal talent or their art of speech. It is one of the means through which idea is communicated. So dialogue helps the characters to communicate their ideas. Each one tells the others, as well as the audience or the readers, They tell about their ideas, their thoughts. Sometimes it is not just thoughts, it is expressions. I'd like to express something. I'd like to say something. Sometimes I need to express a certain view. I have an opinion. I have a point of view which I need to introduce, which I need to clarify. Okay? Or I hear something and I'd like to raise some comments. Someone told something, and whether I agree or not, I'd like to comment on it. Okay? Sometimes we have arguments. We have different views, and each view is supported by its speaker. So how can we have a number of difficult points of view, and maybe they are contradictory or opposing each other, and they embody a kind of difference. And if the arguments gives us a kind of debates, I think we all trying to understand the intellect of each character, because we are talking about each character's way of thinking and way of perceiving things. How does the character recognize a certain idea or a certain, let me say, concept? Or gossip. And by gossip we mean talk. We talk, but it is a talk for a social purpose, and at the same time it's a kind of talk among people who maybe criticize, maybe satirize social conditions or something like that. So again, what is we need to understand is that dialogue is a verbal discussion between characters on the stage. It's a way to communicate the characters' thoughts, expressions, views, comments, arguments, debates, and gossips. Dialogue is not exactly everyday conversation. It is not everyday language. It is not everyday way of expressing oneself. It is designed to suit a specific context. Okay, in Act 2, I have an action that is developed. So as a dramatist, I need to create a dialogue that expresses what happens concerning this action. So it cannot be everyday talk. It cannot be the language which has no relationship between what happens or between the actions on the play. It enables the audience to understand the personalities of the characters. Okay, speak, I tell you who you are. So if you listen to a character's speech, you will understand him or her. If you listen to a dialogue between two characters, you will come to understand the two personalities. And even if they are alone on the stage, they may talk about a third person who is off the stage, you will going to understand something about the third one who is off the stage. A person who is not represented on the stage yet. So understanding the personality of characters is very important, and it is given through dialogue. Sometimes you need to understand the relationships among the characters. Who is a friend of whom? Who are the married couple? Who are the representatives of goodness? Who are the representatives of evil characters? This person is jealous. This woman is jealous. This man is attractive. This woman is witty, and so on. Okay, so through the relationships and personalities, you will understand some piece of information through the dialogue, and their tendencies, their orientations in life, their view of life. Okay, this person is all the time serious, and the other has a sense of fun. This lady tends to act in an aristocratic way, and that poor lady is a very simple one. So the style of life, the way of thinking, and the inner feelings of the characters can be given through dialogue. For the time being, we have come today across other three elements of drama. We started with the plot, and we moved to action, and we ended with dialogue. So if you add these three elements to the 5 elements we discussed last lecture, you are going to have 8 elements of drama. I think these 8 elements vary in terms of number from one critic to another. Many critics do not agree that there is a fixed number for the elements of drama, but mainly speaking, I try to make it clearer so as to enable you to understand the meaning of the elements of drama as a concept and its constituent parts. So I hope by the end of this lecture that you understood the 3 elements of plot, action, and dialogue. And by the end of this 8th element, we come to conclude with the elements of drama. I hope you understood them all, and if you have any question, please take notes and give me your notes or raise your hand once we meet again. For the time being, I thank you very much, and I hope you a cheerful week. Thank you and goodbye.